Hi everyone, this is Selomi. Welcome back. I have a word for us. I received this word towards the end of May, but I just needed some time to come into agreement with it. That's really important. To come into agreement with the things that the Lord says to us, because something that is meant as a blessing can become a stumbling block and can trip you up if you are not able to come into agreement with it. So the reading is in Exodus chapter 12, and it says, "Now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be your beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you. Speak to all the congregations of Israel, saying, On the 10th of this month, every man shall take for himself a lamb according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of persons. According to each man's need you shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. Now you shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. Then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it at twilight, and they shall take some of the blood and put it on the two doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat. Then they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire with unleavened bread, and with bitter herbs they shall eat it." I'm going to skip ahead a bit. And he says, "And thus you shall eat it with a belt on your waist, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand. You shall eat it in haste. It is the Lord's Passover." Yeah, so the Lord is saying that this month shall be the beginning of months to you. It shall be the first month of the year. The Lord is doing a new thing. We often read in the book of Isaiah, chapter 43, we read very, very popular verse where the Lord talks about how He's doing a new thing. But I think sometimes when we read the Word, we're just reading words, and it can get exciting when you can see the signs of it, or it kind of gels with what you're thinking, what's going on around you. But sometimes the Lord will say something that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, most of the time, really. And this is the thing. Moses had just come out of an intense, exchange with Pharaoh, in which Pharaoh had actually told him to leave his presence, and if he was to try and get into his presence again, he would be killed. The Lord had hardened Pharaoh's heart, so things didn't look good. In addition to that, the Lord had instructed the children of Israel to go to their neighbors and get articles of gold and silver. He was preparing them. It even said in that verse, verse 11 of chapter 12, "And thus you shall eat it with a belt on your waist, your sandals on your feet, and your staff in your hand." Now, the belt and the staff and the sandals, this is basically getting dressed for travel. So they were to eat this lamb under the harsh conditions in Egypt, under the hardened heart and hardened ruling of Pharaoh, where he said, "You're not going anywhere, and you need to leave my presence. We are not having this conversation anymore," basically. And the Lord turns around to Israel and says to them, "Prepare yourselves. Prepare yourself." Not only prepare yourself, but I'm starting a new thing, and I'm starting today. And today, in fact, consider today a new month, a completely new month. Forget about, I'm going to read Isaiah because I think it says it well. Do not remember the former things, nor consider the things of old. Behold, I will do a new thing. Now it shall spring forth. Shall you not know it? I will even make a road in the wilderness and rivers in the desert. You need to believe in spite of what life is showing to you, what's happening around you, and what you think is possible or not possible. Isaiah here is urging us to forget the former things. Even in this verse 2 of chapter 12 of Exodus, the Lord is doing away with the previous months. He's doing away with the year as they thought it was, their calendar. He's resetting. He's resetting time in the nation of Israel, and that is what he's doing in our lives. It's already begun. It's already begun, as Isaiah says. Can you not perceive it? Here the Lord is talking about how today is the first day, which means it's already begun. He goes on to give them instructions for what they should do on those 10 days. And I think those 10 days really, because it says on the 10th day they must take a lamb without blemish and keep it until the 14th day. So those 10 days were days where they had a chance to prepare themselves, to follow the instructions, and to just orient their minds around what the Lord was saying, which really wasn't so believable, but he said it. I like the part where he says they must eat dressed for a journey. If we go further on and if we read on in the next chapter, things really, not even the next chapter, later on in this chapter, when the 10th plague comes on the land of Egypt and all the firstborn are slain, it says here that in verse 30 of chapter 12, so Pharaoh rose in the night, he and all his servants and all the Egyptians, and there was a great cry in Egypt, for there was not a house where there was not one dead. Then he called for Moses and Aaron by night and said, Rise, go from among my people, both you and the children of Israel. Go and serve the Lord, as you have said. Also take your flocks and your herds, as you have said, and be gone, and bless me also. And the Egyptians urged the people that they might send them out of the land in haste, for they said, We shall all be dead. So the people took their dough before it was leaven, having their kneading bowls bound up in their clothes on their shoulders. Now the children of Israel had done according to the word of Moses, and they had asked from the Egyptians articles of silver and gold and clothing. And the Lord had given the people favor in the sight of the Egyptians, so that they granted them what they requested. Thus they plundered the Egyptians. Then the children of Israel journeyed from Ramses to Succoth, about 600,000 men on foot, besides children. Right. Now we see how quickly it all happened after the plague was instituted. That's 2 weeks. Now, I think when you hear this word for yourself, you need to go to the Lord and ask if these numbers, if these days are significant for you or not. But basically, from 2 weeks from the time the Lord began this new month, they were on the move. And not just in a way where they could be like, oh, okay, Pharaoh said we could go, let's start packing, let's organize, let's organize ourselves. What are we gonna need? They were ready. They were ready when they were driven out, because that's how they left. It wasn't a warm departure. It wasn't, they were asked to leave, to be gone. Not only by Pharaoh, but the Egyptians among them as well urged the people to send them out of the land. So I know that we all have things that God has been speaking to us about. Perhaps maybe you have been an unbeliever, much like the children of Israel. The last time we hear of them or of Moses addressing them was earlier on in Exodus, where they were lamenting and regretting ever having Moses involved in their lives, because he had made them so much worse. He had come and had his first encounter with Pharaoh, and what happened, what ensued, was that Pharaoh had, more than doubled their work and really, really come down harsh on them. And they didn't appreciate that. It says here, after his encounter with Pharaoh, it says, Moses spoke to the children of Israel, but they did not heed Moses because of the anguish of spirit and cruel bondage they had gone through. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, Go in, tell Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to let the children of Israel go. And Moses said, The children of Israel have not heeded me. How then shall Pharaoh heed me? For I am of uncircumcised lips. That's not the verse I wanted. So Moses and Aaron came out from Pharaoh, and they met. Oh, no. Sorry. I'm sorry. I haven't been organized about this. So the officers of the children of Israel went to Pharaoh directly after Moses had spoken to them and after he had doubled their workload, to plead with him. And when they came out from that and it hadn't worked, their pleas fell on deaf ears. They said to Moses and Aaron, Let the Lord look on you and judge you, because you have made us abhorrent in the sight of Pharaoh and in the sight of his servants, to put a sword in their hand to kill us. Now, we're very quick to judge the children of Israel a lot, in their disobedience and lack of belief and all of that. But I see myself, and I think we all have those moments where the Lord says something to us very clearly. We see the signs and the wonders. When Moses first came to the assembly of Israel, he showed them the wonders with the rod and all of that. And they listened to him. But when things started to get a bit tough, they flipped on him. And I think that's what the Lord is coming after at this time. He's coming after you. He's coming after that part of you that has not believed and been fully convinced of what he promised you he would do for you. Perhaps some time has passed between the promise he made to you, and he's done a few things. He's not done the thing that you need him to do, but he has done some things in your life. Perhaps you are waiting for marriage. You were told that this is your season of marriage. You are not in a relationship, and no one is even checking for you. But in that time, the Lord has helped you to find a new job. Maybe he's even healed you or healed someone you were praying for, provided for you financially, opened an opportunity for you to move. He's shifted a few things in your life, similar to the different plagues. Put you in a position where you've seen his hand move, and it's undeniable that it's the Lord who is moving. But now the Lord wants to do that thing, that thing that you just can't seem to wrap your head around. That's what the Lord is saying to you today, to us today, that it's a new month, it's a new day, it's a new season. Forget the old. Forget the old. He's doing something new. And it's starting now. Now, I remember when I first got this word, it was, what was it, like the 30th or the 29th of May or something like that. And in my mind, I thought, oh, okay, well, this must be a word for June or, and he was like, no, right now, today is the beginning of months to you. So you may be thinking, oh, well, it's a bit messy. How can things start to change now? Maybe this is not the ideal time. Maybe it just doesn't look like anything is going to happen. And you may even seem ridiculous, to get into a posture of even packing and preparing to leave when it doesn't look like there's anything available for that to be a possibility in your life. That's okay, because the Lord moves quickly when he moves. So you don't want to be caught unprepared, because from what we read here and how they had to leave Egypt, there was no time to pack. Imagine with me, I have a bit of a wild imagination. Imagine with me if some of the children of Israel said, you know what, I understand what the Lord is saying, but I'm just gonna wait and see. Let me see that plague happen first, then I'm gonna start prepping. From how Pharaoh said to them, be gone, and the Egyptians urged them to leave, there would be no time for you to prepare. Imagine if 2 million plus people had to suddenly just get up and leave. Would you have time to be like, oh yeah, I need that handbag. Oh yes, my birth certificates are under the bed, or things would be forgotten, things would be left behind. You wouldn't have the time to put in the consideration and the time to prepare the way that you would need to. I put it to you that those 10 days, and even those extra 4 days, those 14 days, were a time to prepare for this journey, a time to get your mind right, to align with the word of the Lord, and to stand ready for the move of God. God is coming for you. And it's not a game. Sometimes, the concept of time is very difficult for us to grapple with sometimes. The Lord will say something, and then 10 years later, you're still waiting on that thing. That's fine. We can grow weary, we can grow tired. But this is a season of great urgency and rapid movement and change. Don't get caught napping or thinking that you have time. After all, the Lord told me about this 10 years ago, so maybe it'll be another 10 years. Maybe I need to relax, or maybe He's not telling the truth. This is not the time for that. Make sure that when you are eating your Passover lamb, that you are dressed in your sandals with your staff and your belt around your waist, ready to travel, ready to move, because the Lord will come for you. From the time that they ate that lamb and then closed themselves off into their houses and the angel of death passed over the land. This was at midnight. To the time when Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron. It says Pharaoh rose in the night. So that the Lord struck all the firstborn at midnight, and Pharaoh got up that very night and told them to go. A big shift and a big change is coming to your life, and you need to follow the instructions that the Lord had been giving you all along, even now, and prepare, because He's going to move. And when He moves, it's going to be so swift. You don't want to be caught off guard. I know I'm sounding repetitive, but I'm feeling again the sense of urgency I felt when I first heard this word. It's really important to me that it comes through and it's understood in the way that it needs to be, because He really, really wants us to be prepared. He really, really wants us to stand ready. And He wants us also to be excited, He wants us to believe again the unbelievable. He wants us to believe that He can make a way in the wilderness, a road in the wilderness. And is that not what He made with them? They traveled in the wilderness, all 2 million plus of them. He provided water for them in the desert. He parted the Red Sea for them. He got them to the land of their promise, even though some of them were not able to make it. But He came through for them. So, I hope this message was clear. I feel like there's more to come. but I'm really just relieved. I feel so much better now to just get it out there, and I hope that it blesses you. Don't forget to seek the Lord on this test the Spirit. Take some quiet time with Him and just find out what He's up to for you, what you're meant to do. Ask Him to remind you what He's instructed you to do, what you need to do to stand ready and prepare for the season. He's waiting to commune with you and to speak to your heart, to address your questions, to give you clarity. Okay, so that's it for me today, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Bye.